Okay, so now let's move to the hardest part of rear cobblers, which is the variable tempo. Why is it hard? Because we have totally different sequences for slow and fast tempo, and it's difficult to combine them together and have a smooth transition. For the first half, it's still very similar to a slow tempo. The tempo lies between card 3 and card 4. If it's card 3, just execute this sequence. But if it's card 4, we have to do something different. So we have to insert a new jalapeno wave on row 2, and then plus a fume on row 5 to press the jack as much as possible. So that is similar to the extreme fast tempo. And then later, when the doom is about to recharge, use the cherry. So here the cherry is not used for jack suppression. So basically put jalapeno here and add a fume here to suppress the jacks. Because if you want to use cherry to suppress the jacks, you have to put it in the water. And then row 6 is incredibly difficult to deal with the gigas. Of course, you can change this fume. This should be a fume to a gloom to hit the gigas, but that's just too expensive and too less error tolerant. So I would recommend you put cherry here. So it's not used for jack suppression, just used to alleviate any pressure on row 6. And in practice, it's pretty good. Yeah, so that's basically it for the variable tempo. And in theory, you can also try garlic and spikeweed. And also, as I said before, you can change this to gloom, but it's just not very error tolerant, honestly. So this, the jalapeno cherry should be like the easiest way. And let's begin. Variable tempo, the hardest part. As you can see, we have Giga and the fast tempo zombie combination. I'm going to bring Fume and Gloom because it's not perfect jack suppression. We have to prepare for the worst case scenario. We will still try to execute our old tempo, so card 3. But if something goes unexpected and goes up to card 4, for example, we're going to use jalapeno on row 2, and that fume on row 5 helps to kill jacks as early as possible. And it also helps kill zombies as early as possible, so I can put cherry bomb there. That cherry bomb, if lucky enough, will also may also bomb the jacks, but it's not a guarantee. So I'm just using it to bomb more gigas to alleviate more pressure. That's its main purpose. So you can see now it spawns early, so I'm going to use jalapeno on row 2. And then I don't use cherry right away. I'm going to wait for the doom to about to recharge and then use cherry. About now. So when you see like it goes up above the boundary, squash, because that Giga doesn't. Oh shit! Squash the Poggle zombie. That's gonna be tough. In that case, I just stall another fume to increase the damage and also hopefully hit the Gigas a few more times, so I can stall it to level 3 DPS. Okay, everything's working pretty well except that squash. But I have 4 fumes just before, so I'm pretty confident that this Giga should be dead. If not, then they will be dead later. Yeah, you can see. Yeah, now they are dead. I can put a squash here. Hopefully it doesn't squash the Poggle again. No, it doesn't. So if we zoom again. Nice. That's the wrap up. So that's the first half, just vary our strategy based on how the tempo varies. Because you know the tempo, it really depends on the density and distribution of the gigas. So we have to like be prepared for different ways. So I've played this like variable tempo multiple times, and each time almost I get a different result. I play it differently. So there are just like so many variations for variable tempo. Unlike the slow or fast tempo, you can stick to card 3 or card 4 or card 5. The variable tempo, there's not a consistent tempo to adhere, but it's still very playable and very fun because of the variability. That fume is still alive. Freeze the bungees. Oh, I should have stalled under the Giga. But that Giga, although I only hit it once, it should die. Because it's frozen. And if I stall it one more time, it's almost guaranteed to die. Yeah, now it dies. So for a lower half, I no longer need to add extra cannon foders on the side. I'll put one here to squash the Gigas on row 6, and on row 1 I'll deal with them later. Because in the lower half the Gigas are already disappearing. So I don't want to add too many fume shrooms to make the tempo too fast. So instead of using fume shrooms to deal continuous damage to other zombies, I will just use squash to deal one-time damage to the Gigas. So now the squash is ready. You can see the squash is a really useful card. It recharges very fast. Very useful. Now all the Gigas should be dead. And yeah, so now let's focus our attention on Jack suppression. So just execute the fast tempo, ignore row 5. So we slowly rely on that fume shroom on row 5, and that's scary. And then put all of our instants on row 2. See, that fume died again, but it doesn't matter. That doom this time can be delayed by a little. And when putting jalapeno or imitator ice or fume here, never let them be bombed by jacks, especially jalapeno. Otherwise it's very stupid. Like, you want to suppress the jacks, but then the jacks suppress you. So our ice timing is a little late, but that's okay. Oh shit, that's later. But that's okay, we can add a fume here to minimize the possibility of jacks exploding. Because for a fast tempo, if it gets extremely fast, then it's extremely difficult to suppress. A fume died again. But anyway, we bring the Gloom Seed packet, so we're prepared for the worst case scenario. So as long as first we don't lose the ladders, second we don't lose our brain, it's okay. Like if some glooms get bombed, some fumes or even glooms get smashed, it's okay. It's very playable. We can save ourselves pretty much from that. So wrap up. Just use Doom and Ice. And Cherry here. So if you can put Cherry anywhere, just put it. And then because it's variable tempo, so normally for slow tempo the ice trail will disappear, but the variable tempo the zombies just die very quickly, and then the next wave immediately spawns. So I have to put squash here, unfortunately. And then that squash here will I will use the fume here to stall the Gigas together, so that the squash here will squash all of them. And my son, I forgot how much I started with. So at most you should like lose 1,000, 1,500. That's like the most number that you can lose, that you will actually lose. Yeah, that squash all the Gigas. And because we have 6 sunflowers, it should supply the plenty of sun. Because I use a lot of fume shrooms as buffers or cannon fodders, yet I'm still doing fine. So you can see how stable this setup is to different scenarios. Yes, the real gameplay. Next level we have Giga and Zombie Football. So we're just going to execute our slow tempo sequence. And because there are no jacks, there's no need for jalapeno. Because jalapeno you put it on row 2, and it's not efficient against jacks because on row 2 you already have enough firepower. And here I'm going to introduce another timing called perfect timing, in contrast to the jack suppression timing. The perfect timing, so the doom timing is still the same, just 1, 2. But for ice, you put it immediately after using doom. There's no need to wait for 2 seconds. So you can see here the zombies are immediately frozen almost when they spawn, so that like the zombies will have less threat to the front of our setup. But note that this timing cannot suppress the jacks at all, because it will also freeze the jacks early, so that the jacks will not be killed quick enough, and then they will explode before being killed, and also cannot freeze the bungees. And also for normal ice, there's no need to delay 2 seconds. You just put it immediately. So just don't delay the 2 seconds for the perfect timing. And you can use Cherry here, because the Doom is about to recharge. Oh, it actually spawns late. So these Gigas, I haven't doomed them, so they're quite dangerous. I have to stall it until the next wave spawns like this. Yeah, so you should put the imager immediately when you put the doom. Like I still delayed 1 second, which is not perfect. So the perfect timing is pretty useful in the later stuff, like also in Frost Cobblers, where you want to freeze the zombies perfectly. But note that it's not compatible with the jack suppression for the wounds on column 7. Maybe it's compatible for others. It is very compatible for the strategies that mainly seek to avoid the jack's explosion, like the glooms on column 6 or the glooms on column 4 or column 3. But for column 7, we want to actively kill the late jacks, not to avoid them. Cherry, Doom. And don't let the immature eyes be killed by footballs, if your Doom is not guaranteed to reach them. You can see the pressure is not very high. The only threat is the Giga Gargantuars. And we will just have the extra buffer fume and also the squash, because that buffer fume actually deals a lot of damage, and it's only 75, so that's worth a lot. Is it the wrap up? Not yet. Let's wait for footballs to die and then squash the Giga on row 1. And then it has a scar, so it dies. And later let's use Doom. These Gigas are quite dangerous after you stall it. Although like technically they shouldn't smash the Doom, but they're quite dangerous. Let's wait for the Gigas to come close and then use Cherry to bomb all of them. So these Gigas should be all bombed. This Giga, I'm going to squash it one more time. Oh, this Giga is not bombed yet. But I have the extra buffer fume, so it shouldn't be a big problem. But that buffer fume gets smashed. But you can, theoretically, like you can stall the Gigas to level 3 DPS. It's not difficult. So here there are bungees. We no longer use the perfect timing, use the jack suppression timing. Because the perfect timing will perfectly miss the bungees. I can use squash here, but I don't feel it's necessary. And next wave we can use Doom and Immature Eyes. As I said in Radio Clock or One Call Suppression, like levels with no jacks, the timing is a lot lenient. You can use the perfect timing, you can time it late, or you don't have to use Immature Eyes at all. There's just a ton of ways to play it. Did all the Gigas die? I can squash row 6, because on row 1 they're already squashed. Oh, that cannon fodder is blundered. Although not completely blundered. Still not good enough. That Giga on row 1 is wild. But I'm going to use Doom later to doom all of them. So I want to squash row 6. Oh, there's actually a lot of Gigas on row 6. And on row 1, I'm just going to use the Fume to stall it to level 3 DPS. Because there's only 1 Giga, so it's relatively easy to stall them to level 3. Because the level 3 DPS, it depends on the Wintermelon. So if the Wintermelon gets a lot of shots on the Giga, direct shots, then it's easy to stall it to level 3. But if there are just constantly zombies blocking them, it's not that easy. You can see here the tempo actually is pretty... Now there are still Gigas appearing, but that Giga should die. That Giga, I'm just going to squash it. And this Giga, I'm going to stall it to level 3. Because if I squash this Giga, then there's no big zombies blocking this Giga. So this Giga should die. And probably when this Giga reaches here, I can use squash. So if there are Gigas here, that's annoying. Although I won't say it's difficult, but that's annoying. Just have to, because I'm just reluctant to use Cherry Bomb. I think the Gigas are just disappearing. There's no need to bomb some disappearing stuff. Yeah, I missed this Giga, but I'm pretty confident that I can stall it to level 3. And that Giga, they have scars, so they should die. This Giga also has scars, but it's having scars like a long time when they enter here, so it's a free health Giga. But anyway, they all die, so no worries. And now, when the Gigas disappear, there are no normal Gargantuars, which means we don't have to use ice. We just need to stall the footballs and use Pumpkin to protect the Gloom here, if we think the footballs are going wild. Or maybe it's still worth freezing, because the footballs on side will go pretty wild. But that's the wrap up already, so there's no need at all. Anyway, whatever. You can see these footballs, if not frozen, they can take a lot of bites. But because footballs has no way to instantly kill something, it's okay. Okay, wrap up. Let's find some appropriate spots to put the Doom. And then just the classic wrap up. Because this is a slow tempo, there are bucket heads and footballs to delay the time. The ice trail should recover. There's no need to use ice, because it's covered by the umbrella leaf. And I can use swash. So whenever the ice trail recovers, the things just become a lot easier. You can see an end being thrown out. So I guess the squash probably didn't miss the Gigas. Because there are backup dances, I'm kind of worried that they may miss some Gigas accidentally. But seems like it's doing well. Yeah, so for slow tempo, just execute the classic wrap-up, Doom, Cherry on one side, Squash on another. Pretty easy. But for variable tempo, so at the very end, you may not even have Doom. So we have to carefully plan and vary your strategy based on the distribution of the Gigas. It's more complicated. But for slow tempo, there's almost like a formula for it. Okay, next tempo, we have football and jack, but bucket head. So I would say this is a slow to medium tempo. It's not an extreme fast tempo where we have to play card 5. So for slow and medium tempo, the tempo is usually between card 3 and card 4. Preferably card 3 because we have buckethead. If there are no buckethead in the football, then it's going to be card 4. And also catapult also slows down the zombie. So these are cards needed for card 4. Now for card 4 we can use jalapeno and cherry simultaneously to perfectly suppress the jacks on both sides. Like, I mean, if there are Gigas, it's inefficient to use cherry in the pool, so I prefer to ignore row 5. Or the tempo goes faster than card 4, then we also need to ignore row 5. But if it's card 4 and no Giga, we can perfectly suppress the jacks. And just for error tolerance, I'm going to bring the Boom C packet and Pumpkin. That's it. Because there are no Gigas, so there's no need for Squash. And if there are no jacks, there's no need for Jalapeno. So whenever there are no Gigas or no jacks, you can bring the Bloom C packet for error tolerance. So here I'm going to go back to the jack suppression timing, because there are jacks. I should not use the perfect timing in any way. And we don't want to have too many puff in the front to deal extra damage. The puff only purpose is to stall the footballs, just to prevent them from making, just to let them make minimal damage to the Gloom. But because we're freezing constantly, so the footballs shouldn't be a big problem. If like the footballs are not frozen, they're very fast, very scary. But if they are, not scary at all. You can see the tempo is faster than I expected, as the Doom barely recharges. But now I'm expecting it to recharge before the jacks are ever able to explode. So now I'm doing the card 3. So I would prefer card 3 in real gameplay, because Cherry and Jalapeno, they're expensive first, and also because the side is the weakest of this setup, and the footballs, the Gargantuars, the zombies on the side are more threatening, but the Cherry Jalapeno, they cannot hit the side, which is annoying. The ice, they can freeze the side, and the Doom, they can bomb the side. So our cards are barely recharging, but I'm pretty sure I can manage, I can handle it. If like whenever I cannot handle it, I will use Cherry and Jalapeno, but now I think I'm doing pretty well, I would say. Okay, next wave we can use Doom. Okay, that's the wrap up. So that's actually the slow tempo sequence where we use Ice Doom Doom, card 3. And for fast tempo, we usually use card 4, and when it's extreme fast, like no football, no catapult, no bucket head, we use card 5. And for slow tempo, for sometimes, you can use card 2, but I think card 3 is more efficient and easier to learn, so I teach you card 3. But if you want to learn card 2, you can also feel free to look through other videos of rear cobblers. There's just multiple ways of playing it, so ranging from card 2 to card 5. It's like a lot of variability, a lot of freedom. Ah, okay, wrap up, pretty easy. And you can see our sun is also increasing very fast. I think I started from after variable tempo is like 5,000, now it's 9,000. Oh, I should have used normal ice. That's a mistake. Now like the tempo, the order is kind of messed up, but the sequence is not. So just ice, ice, Doom, and Doom, ice, ice. That's the same. We just changed the starting card. But you should know that they are the same. Because there are no Gigas, so we don't have to like plan our instance so that we have Doom against Gigas in the last wave. Okay, now it spawns early because you can see Inventory Ice hasn't recharged, so if I use Doom, then I don't have Inventory Ice. So I'm going to use Cherry and Jalapeno. Like, I may want to bomb the cherry bomb on the land to reach the footballs, but I want to keep the tempo slower, so I choose to bomb in the water. So if there are no zombies, you can put the cherry on the land. It's more efficient. Okay, it's getting pretty, yeah, not too difficult, I hope. Because now the cherry jalapeno is about to recharge again. And now the Doom is about to recharge. Oh shit, I forgot to stall the footballs. So they're inflicting some damage to my pumpkin. And also when putting the Doom, make sure you put the lily pad in Doom quick enough so that the snorkels and the bucket heads, the cone heads, they don't bite it. When putting the lily pad, in the first 1 second, it's immune to any biting damage. So you have to put it like, it's better to put them within 1 second, because then it's almost guaranteed that the lily pad won't die. Like if a jack explodes, then it still dies, but it's just immune to any biting damage. And now my Doom is about to recharge, so maybe it's going to be a little late, but... Oh, oops. That's the wrap-up. Shit, I forget that. Yeah. So in real gameplay, just remember the wave. Don't use Doom in the wrap-up, otherwise it will wrap up very quickly. But because there are no Gigas, it doesn't matter. But when there are Gigas, nah, just don't use this as wrap-up. Freeze the jacks. Yeah, so you have to, especially in the extreme very fast tempo, like if your ices are not recharging and then it suddenly ramps up, and you just don't have cards against bungees and jacks, and everything will be messed up. Although you won't die, it's just very messy, very tricky to deal with. Now our stun has gone to the maximum. Next level we have Giga, but nothing else. So that should be easy. No Jack, so no need for Jalapeno. And I think the tempo may be variable because I didn't see other high health zombies anywhere. But because no Jack, we can execute the perfect timing. Okay, just start with Doom Ice and then Squash and then Ice. And then it's easy, like there are no zombies, so the cherry bomb I can put it on column 8. Therefore, like because the cherry on column 8 are guaranteed to hit the zombies that are in front of this fume. So the column 8 cherry can almost guarantee to hit all the Gigas on the lower half. Which is going to make the cherry a lot more efficient. Like on column 7, it's going to miss the Gigas from the current wave. And on column 6, it's going to miss a lot of Gigas. But on column 8, it's going to hit all the Gigas. That's the opposite of column 6. And also, there's no football zombies blocking the wintermelons for the Gigas. So the wintermelons can keep the Gigas mostly slowed down. And then we will have an easier time to hit them, to kill them. Because if the Gigas are not slowed down, they're almost as fast as the football zombie. You can imagine like a football zombie with like 4 times the health. That's going to be and can instantly kill plants and throw imps. Very scary. But if they're properly slowed down by the wintermelon, it's going to be a lot easier to play. Because in rear cobblers, the thing not good about it is that there are only 1 wintermelon per row, which sometimes the Gigas or even the normal Gargantors won't be slowed down. And then you just... Oh shit, that imagery ice is blundered. I want to put it on column 7, but I didn't see, my hand slipped, so I put it on column 8, but it doesn't matter because there are no jacks, I can just keep stalling the Gigas. That spawns early. Oh, that's Puff is also blundered. Yeah, because there are no jacks, I can play whatever I want, but there's a lot of room for error. But that imagery ice is a blunder, you know. Because there are no Gigas on row 5, I'm going to bomb on row 1. So these Gigas will be killed. Otherwise they will smash that. Oh shit. I should have bombed on column 8 of that. But anyway, my Doom is ready now. Let me use it. I made a series of blunders. Be like that in the real gameplay. So that's, yeah, it doesn't matter. But if I put the cherry on column 8, as I said before, it's going to hit all the Gigas. But somehow I just didn't realize that. And I put the immature eyes on column 8, which is almost guaranteed to be smashed. Now it spawns early, but I know my enter ice is not recharging, but it doesn't matter. Because there are no jacks, I don't need to care much about timing. Actually, it does recharge. And I don't need to care much about the timing. And I can stall these Gigas to death. And then the Gigas are disappearing. Let me put the extra pumpkins on the glooms to prevent the balloon zombies from landing on the gloom. If you only have 1 cattail, then you should properly freeze or bomb the balloons. But since I have 2 here, there is no big need of doing that. And let's remove that buffer fume to deal minimal damage. And also that puff. That puff here I want to stall the balloon zombies in an emergency situation. Yeah, now our glooms are safe, but this pumpkin is broken. So I want to stall the dolphin riders to this square, so that it won't further damage this pumpkin. It will damage this pumpkin though. Maybe I can stall both sides, but here I have a crater. But that pumpkin is just recently damaged, so I'm pretty sure it can last for a few rounds. Or like in an emergency, I can just bomb the dolphin riders. It doesn't matter. I think this pumpkin will be badly broken after the dolphins, see? But that's the wrap up, so it doesn't matter. For wrap up, just Doom, Squash, Cherry. You know what to do. Doom, Squash. Oh, that Squash actually squashed MJ. That's annoying. Like, how is it possible? Like, the Gigas are so much larger than the MJ, although normally, like, if I put it on column 9, it's almost guaranteed to squash the Gigas. Why does it squash the MJ instead? But I have an excess squash. Squash is sometimes, I don't know what it is thinking. It's do weird actions to annoy me. Let's stall row 2 and try to protect this pumpkin. Because I want to leave this pumpkin, so just in case the next level is a football, no Garg on 4 level. So the pumpkins will become useful. Okay, pretty easy. Next level is actually no difficult zombies at all, you know? So I can bring double pumpkin, actually. Because you can see no zombie, no jack, no football, no giga, no garg. Just spongy zombie is the only threatening one. So you can do anything you want. I'm just going to bring some random cards. And then just fix the pumpkins. And then we're done, hopefully. And because I got plenty of sun, I can actually shovel these pumpkins and fix them. I'm just trying to play fancy, you know. There's no need for the puff, because the puffs will speed up the tempo. If there are football zombies blocking the wintermelon shots, the bucketheads, they may bite the front pumpkin, but since there are none, the bucketheads are pretty much slowed down and they will have no chance to hit anything. No bungees actually. Next level. Giga Garg Zomboni football, but no jack. So it's a classic slow tempo, just without jack. So just bring puff and fume. Oh, there's no need for jalapeno. You should change the jalapeno to bloom in real gameplay. And here we can use the perfect timing, because there are no jacks. Oh, that football was actually wild. I don't know why. Perfect timing again. Squash again. Maybe that squash is not necessary, but it's available, so... Doom is about to be ready, so I'm going to Cherry Bomb. It spawns very late. Does it spawn? I couldn't see, so seems like it spawns late. Now it does. Make sure the Gargantuars don't smash that imitator. Spawns so late. Because maybe, yeah, because there are bucketheads. Squash. He should die, and let's wait for the Doom to recharge. Yeah, it's about... Does the new wave spawn? No. Like, there are no zombies appearing on the row 1. Yeah, so after I use the cherry bomb even, the new wave doesn't spawn. You can see how slow the tempo is. I'll call this the extreme slow tempo. Actually, maybe the best way to play this is card 2. So just Doom, Imitator Ice, and then Ice. And then Ice, and then Jalapeno and Cherry. So you use Jalapeno to burn the Ice Trail, and then use Cherry on column 8 to bomb all the Gigas on the lower half. And then it should spawn. If it doesn't, just you're unlucky. Wash your face, let's say, in Chinese. 洗脸. Okay, so just doom all of the Gigas. This Gargantuar is not frozen, but it's a Gargantuar, so I don't care. Maybe card 2 is the more appropriate tempo here, but card 3 still works. And card 3 is safe to Jalapeno, so it's cheaper and better. Let's squash here. Is there any Giga? No. There are only Gargantuars. The bungee is covered by the umbrella leaf, so I'll use the perfect timing. see that zombie density is high, it doesn't spawn. I believe now the Gigas are disappearing. Oops. It's so slow now. Now the fume is speeding up, but I have squash. Did that squash just miss? That's so stupid. And cherry, because the Gigas are not fully disappearing. It's quite dangerous now. I'm gonna use Doom. Because like Giga is about to smash my Doom. Oh, that injury ice is under. But it doesn't matter. Because now the Gigas are most are already disappeared. So I have already blundered 2 imitators. Just stall them until the next wave comes. Here is pretty dangerous, but I'm going to use Jalapeno when the Gigas are approaching here. Maybe that's how the Jalapeno comes to use. This Giga is approaching, so squash it. And then maybe I need to hit it one more time, because like I blundered that immature ice and it messed up everything. But because there are no jacks, we're free to mess up things. It's not the end of the world. Finally, you can use Doom to alleviate the pressure and then perfect timing. Okay, so now Gigas have disappeared, and we no longer need to use Doom. Just use double ice to freeze the Gargantuars, and use Squash or Cherry or Puff to stall them. Yeah, if I don't blunder that into ice, I think I'm still doing pretty well here. But yeah, so anyway, we survived. Freeze. These Gargantuars look pretty dangerous, but I'm pretty sure I can stall them to death. Because they're frozen here, and this one already has a scar, so I'm not that worried about them. And for the last wave, I may want to use Doom. Like this. Yeah, or you can use it quicker to miss this Giga so that I can delay more time, but it doesn't matter. If you put the Doom later, maybe it will miss the Giga over here. But maybe it's not possible because yeah, I'm not sure how exactly it works. Let's put the squash here for wave. It missed the bucket head though. But like if the Gargantuar spawned once, his health is almost equivalent to a bucket head. You can see they die simultaneously. They're almost equivalent, not exactly equivalent. And as you can see, the Gargantuar delays some time, so I can use the Doom again. That is covered by the umbrella lead, so just Doom, Cherry, Squash. No need for ice here. Okay, so we're done with the 10 flag run through. You can see it's not very difficult, and we have plenty of sun, plenty of air tolerance. Maybe I should have brought Boom Sleep Packet instead of Jalapeno. Because like even if the Giga smashed that Boom there, I still have Jalapeno. I can still plant it back. It's not difficult. Okay, they all die. Yeah, easy. And the next level, Gargantor and Jack, so just play card 3, preferably. Or maybe card 4 if it gets super fast, but because they're bucket heads, you should be able to suppress it within card 3.